So as some of you may know, I escaped England and fled to America and ended up in New York City. Even though I've been to the Big Apple before, I'm always flabbergasted by the buildings, the people and the general hustle bustle of the big city. I happened to be there on September the 11th, and a good friend of mine, Tom, said I should take the opportunity to walk down to Ground Zero and talk to some 9/11 truthers about the tragic events of 2001 and to visit the 9/11 memorial. So, truthers, why are you here?
I'm here today because there are questions that have been remain unanswered.
I'm here to spread the truth about 9/11 and ask people to ask questions about what really happened.
Well, as I do every year, come down here and just try to inform people of the events of 9/11, how they don't add up to the official story that they put out proliferated to the public.
So let's debunk some of their claims.
Why are they still allowing steel buildings to be built? If that's an inherent problem, that if the right conditions come along, the building disintegrates. But
I'd say the right conditions are fairly extraordinary, like a plane going in.
That building was made for on jets to hit it.
Oh no, it was made for a slow-moving, smaller plane with hardly any fuel.
That's not true. That's not true.
Yes it is. The chief engineer of the two towers, Leslie Robinson, calculated how well the towers would handle an impact from the largest jetliner in service at the time, the Boeing 707, not the Boeing 767, the Maker plane that crashed into the Twin Towers, and that was not introduced until 1982, 9 years after the opening of the World Trade Center in 1973. Both roughly weigh about the same, but the 767s have a 7.9 meter longer wingspan, allowing them to be more destructive than the 707, as they're able to take out more of the building's core columns when it crashed into it. Leslie's calculations also assume that the plane was low on fuel and lost in the fog while searching for an airport at relatively low speed. Like the B-25 bomber that hit the Empire State Building in 1945, it created a 5.5 meter gash even though its wingspan was 20.6 meters across. Hey, I guess Flight 77 wasn't the first time a plane left a gash less than the length of its wingspan. Just saying. The impact speed predicted for the 707 was estimated to be approximately 180 miles an hour, that's 80 meters per second. However, American Airlines Flight 11 was travelling at 470 miles per hour, that's approximately 210 meters per second when it hit the North Tower, and United Airlines Flight 175 was travelling at 590 miles per hour, that's roughly about 264 meters per second. The energy contained in an airplane or other moving object is proportional to the velocity. If you double the velocity, you get 4 times the energy. Triple the velocity, you get 8 times the energy, and so on and so forth. And you can work this out from the equation kinetic energy equals half mv squared, where m is the mass of an object in kilograms and v is the object's speed in meters per second. This means that the Boeing 767 hit the North Tower with 11.7 times more energy than predicted by Leslie's 707 model. But I think we're all forgetting something here, which is the Twin Towers did survive the impacts. They were able to cope with larger planes flying at much higher speeds, smacking into the side of them, and they stood for a long time, allowing thousands of people to escape. The reason the towers collapsed was a mixture of damage from the impacts and the resultant fires, which weakened the steel. So how did she respond?
I would say that the buildings did survive the initial plane going in it. I mean, they were there for
an hour and a half before they collapsed, so explain that.
I would say that afterwards it was the fire then that softened the
point. Look at the pictures and you will see that the fires were dark gray smoke after the initial explosion. So an hour and a half after the fires went cool, the buildings collapsed because of the fire.
Dark grey smoke does not indicate that the fires were cool. In fact, it's very difficult to tell anything from the colour of the smoke. There's no rule that states that dark grey smoke means lack of oxygen or fuel. I mean, look at this car on fire. Do you think it doesn't have enough oxygen? Yeah, it produces thick grey smoke. What about this Boeing 707 military tanker plane that crashed during takeoff? Do you think the fire had enough fuel? Because it also produced thick smoke.
Fires, even if they're not burning, as you say, as high as they could be, they still are pretty hot and enough to actually structurally.
It doesn't even melt until 700-800 degrees. This thing.
I know, but it loses quite a lot of its strength.
Yes, so again, I would expect it to bend. I would expect it to be twisted.
But it kind of does. Like if you look on the video before it collapsed, it kind of bows inwards.
Because if you do research on controlled demolition, that's exactly what they do.
She's not the only one who thinks this.
When it bows in, it's not going to explode out. Like, I have a slow motion video of that exactly what you're talking about. When it bowed in.
Actually, the bowing
it kind of flicked out, didn't it?
the bowing in is actually indicative of an implosion. Of them taking the building down.
To understand why the bowing of the outer columns of the Twin Towers is important, you need to understand the structure of the building. Traditionally, skyscrapers use evenly spaced core columns. In the Twin Towers, the columns of the building, normally found evenly spaced out, were moved out to become the outer wall of the building. This left large open spaces for offices. The outer wall was then connected to the inner core by a series of floor trusses, which were then covered in 10 centimeters of concrete. The columns in the core were not encased with concrete, normal fireproofing. Instead, like the outer columns and the trusses, they were sprayed with fireproof foam. However, when the plane crashed into the building, most of this fireproofing was blown away. And no one ever said that steel melted in the buildings. Steel, depending on the alloy, melts at around 1,500 degrees Celsius, but loses 50% of its strength at around 590 degrees Celsius. The fires in the Twin Towers are predicted to be around 982 degrees Celsius. As a result, the trusses heated up and lost their strength and began to expand and to sag. Some would have even collapsed, putting more weight on the floors below. As they sagged, they pulled the outer wall in, and this is where you can see this bowing from, as much as 125 centimeters in places. The bowing continued until the outer wall columns finally reached their breaking point and snapped, and then the building collapsed. Despite my hardest effort, I was unable to find any controlled demolitions that pulled in part of the building slowly before it collapsed. There's also no way of cutting any of the columns that would have created the same effect that is seen in thousands of videos and thousands of pictures. But what do truthers say when confronted with this evidence for fire damage?
You can actually see just before it collapses that it actually bows inwards.
On the video.
Yeah.
On the video that was compiled, there's also rather than me explain why that's.
To be fair though, this guy was a good sport.
I've just been given 10 questions to why you should question 9/11. Okay, I've just had a quick read. I think it's a bit cheeky because there's only 9. Like the 10th one is
right.
that's a bit cheeky though.
That's true.
So what evidence do truthers have that these buildings came down by controlled demolition? Now I have just under 3 hours of footage here, so I'm only going to talk about a few things because I'm only one guy.
I believe like 2,000 architects and engineers that they all banded together and they put this website and organization together, and they explained that how it's impossible for the buildings to have fallen. They fell at free fall speed.
That the building fell at free fall speed. Truthers say that an object at free fall would take around 10 seconds to fall from the height of the Twin Towers, and the fact that they fell in 10 seconds proved that demolition charges had blown floors out beneath the point of collapse, allowing the building to fall at free fall.
The explosions took place throughout the whole building.
This is already really easy to disprove. Just look at the footage for yourself and time it. It's well above 10 seconds. In fact, most of the footage even shows part of the lower portions of both towers, around 60 stories of World Trade Center 1 and 40 stories of World Trade Center 2, remain standing for up to 25 seconds after the initial collapse. And then they fell down themselves. Some truthers don't seem to see this, even though it's on the DVD Loose Change.
After it collapsed, there was still pictures and stuff of the steel columns, the inner core still being around. So if you're saying that it
Still columns still being around.
oh, there's loads of videos of it. Even on the I've got a DVD for Loose Change actually. It's even on that you can see it.
That they were still on the ground.
Sorry, it's still upright. The whole inner thing from a good.
High up? 1 story, 2
Oh
stories?
no, it's quite high. I don't really know, but it's a good 10, 20, 30 stories.
I don't see the core column in any videos, even after.
Oh no, seriously. If you, I'm not making this up. If you even on the Loose Change,
Take a look at it. I have no problem.
you can even get a DVD from a nice guy over there who's handing them out, and on that the Loose Change.
No, I've seen it, and nothing was 10 stories up.
Also, for some reasons, truthers put in the whole height of the Twin Towers when they do their equations to work out that it's going to take 10 seconds to fall at freefall. Why don't they take it from where the point of collapse is? I never really understood that. But looking past all of this, there's even an easier way to disprove this. Watch as I try and explain it to this guy.
First of all, a lot of people say that, well, I've watched the video as well, and I don't think they really fall at free fall.
They don't fall at
No, I've seen actually Loose Change number 2 like the other day,
okay.
and he only counts like the debris that's actually coming off. And then when that hits the floor, he's like, oh, that's going at free fall. But then you've got to think, well, it is, because it's not attached to anything. And one way of just looking at
but still, there would be some kind of resistance. It still falls fast regardless.
Oh, no, yeah, it still falls. I think one of them was in about 16 seconds. Oh, sorry. And the other one...
You mean when it gets to like the bottom?
Yeah.
Well, then it gets kind of... You know, there is a lot of debris and everything, but as far as everything else, the whole structure itself.
But even like an easy way to show that it's not falling at free fall is there's actually a picture of it falling, and you can see there's actually debris below the point where it's actually coming down. So for it to do that, it must mean that it's not falling at free fall. It's falling considerably slower if it's a good 20-30 floors above it.
Debris below it that...
Yes, there's a picture of like one of the steel beams. There's quite a few of them actually, and they're falling. They've came off the top of the building, and they're like free falling because they're not attached to it anymore. And you can see them a good 20-30 floors below the actual point where it's actually collapsing down. So it can't be going at free fall if it's so much higher.
That it falls faster than the rest of the building?
Well, it's falling at free fall, and the building isn't. It's way above. So I'd say just by looking at the pictures that you could see that it's not really doing that.
No, I haven't seen those pictures, but...
No, I haven't seen those pictures. You are at ground zero telling me that the Twin Towers came down because of controlled demolition and you've not seen any of the pictures of it collapsing. Really? Because they all show this? All the pictures, all the videos? But I shouldn't be mean to this guy. He was actually really nice and gave me a DVD that he burnt at home.
Cool, and I see that you're giving out DVDs.
Yeah, DVDs, this is Loose Change.
Oh, which one? I know there's 3.
The final cut.
The final cut.
And there's this guy where, what?
Yeah,
So,
I'm down with that. Another thing that interests me though is all the numerology involved.
The what, sorry?
The numerology.
What's that?
Like, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, New York was the 11th colonized State of the Union?
I don't know, sorry, my American history is very bad.
It happened 111 days before the end of the year, hit first by Flight 11, the Pentagon 77 feet tall, hit by Flight 77 first. All these like weird coincidences that it's bigger than somebody just plotting it.
But you would say that was a coincidence though, you wouldn't say it's some kind of evil Bond villain who's trying to give like little hints out there to be...
Coincidence or numerology used against our subconscious, I don't know. I know that the people in power have a lot of intelligence that we just don't get, we've never learned.
I don't know, I'd say, no offense to your government, but they couldn't hide a semen stain on a dress, and that's very crude of me. They couldn't hide that, and I think it was a bit of a bit unfortunate. Unfortunate is the wrong word. That Bush, when he was told, he just sat there reading to, I think, My Pet Goat. Yeah. I think that shows that maybe there weren't the brightest sparks really controlling, but I don't know.
Wasn't the classroom saying plane, hit, steel, goat, or something like that? When he was in that classroom in Florida and the kids were reading out loud, right?
Yeah.
They saying like plane, hit, steel. They were saying...
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, that's a little too crazy for me.
Do the research, the guys who were in the basement of World Trade Center, they said, including the fire and the police who entered that lobby, there were explosions from that basement before the planes hit.
Nope. No one said this, and when you think about it, okay, maybe there would have been a policeman at the Twin Towers before the planes hit, but a fireman? Are there firemen stationed at all skyscrapers? I think she's making it up as she goes along. Oh, and also remember, explosion doesn't equal explosive.
Well, a
guy working there for 20 years, he's not certainly a conspiracy theorist. He says those generators and those in the basement of the buildings blew out. The lobby blown out, not blown in, blown out.
But then it kind of came down from the top though, not the bottom. And I think I know the guy you're talking about. I think he's got a book called Last Man Out. He did say that he heard these explosions, but he wasn't aware that a plane hit it. And what people think it is unfortunately, it was the elevator, as you guys say them.
Are you aware that they're lying about the elevators?
What I was talking about before I was interrupted was when the plane crashed, it severed the lift cables, allowing lifts to free fall and hit the bottom of the shafts. Jet fuel from the plane also entered the lift shafts and travelled up and down them, and exploded on the parts of least resistance. And when she says they lied, I wonder who she's referring to. Is she referring to Brian Reeves, a 34-year-old security guard working in the lobby of World Trade Center 1? He started to run after hearing an explosion that he thought sounded like a missile, but he didn't make it very far when he was knocked down by a fireball that roared down the elevator shaft. He suffered third-degree burns to 40% of his body. What about David Corrett? He said, I saw a couple of elevators in free fall. You could hear them whizzing down as they crashed. There was a huge explosion, like a fireball exploding out of a bank of elevators. He also said that he saw people who were engulfed in flames.
The elevators in those buildings are not one shaft. There's an elevator, you have to get off, get onto another bank, get off, and get onto another bank. There is no shaft from the top down to the bottom.
Well, there's the express that goes...
But that wasn't the one, that would have taken out that one piece of the building. The building came down perfectly evenly.
No, I'm talking about the explosions that you maybe heard.
I'm saying if the explosion, as you're describing it, came down the freight elevator, which did have one shaft, that's one freight elevator at one part of the building.
I really don't have any clue what she's talking about here, but let's go back. Let's talk about this last man out guy. His name is William Rodriguez. He was a janitor in the North Tower, but is now making a living out of his DVD sales. At the morning of September 11th, he was in an office on B1, which is one of the basements. He heard a massive explosion beneath him. He ran out to discover that two people were being helped out of a lift which had fallen at freefall. This lift was 50A. He believes that the damage in the lobby could not have been caused by free-falling lifts and jet fuel travelling down the shafts, because 50A was the only lift to have serviced every single floor and the passengers survived it. However, the blueprints show that although most lifts did only serve a part of the building, the shafts themselves ran the entire length of the building, allowing jet fuel to actually go down them. And take a step backwards a second. What would be the point of actually putting explosives at the base of the building? I mean, let's not forget the thing collapsed from the top. I mean, what's the point? What about the injuries of the people in the lobby itself, or the lobby itself? They're entirely consistent with jet fuel and not explosives. Anyway, that's the end of part 1. In part 2, I'm going to discuss what the truthers believe brought down the buildings. Remember, if you'd like to see more of my videos in the future, then all you need to do is hit the subscribe button, and you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and I also have some pictures of me visiting Ground Zero on my website, so you can have a gander at that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys when I see you next.